Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make Mr. Peterson's house from the game Hello Neighbour. This is specifically the alpha-free version of the house. So I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video, otherwise this might happen. This is the amount of space required to make your build, and here are all of the materials that we will use throughout the build. Begin by placing a row of 5 light blue concrete extending up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Place a white concrete on top and extend to the right by 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then extend forwards by 2. 1, 2. And then right by 2. 1, 2. Forwards 1. Right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then extend in 1. Right by 2. 1, 2. Then extend back by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to extend right by 2, 1, 2. We want to simultaneously extend this block up by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and to the right by 5 as well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extend down to the ground, and then extend the block that we extended down to the ground backwards by 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We then want to join back down to the ground like this. Then extend the block that we just extended down to the ground to the right across the back of the build by 21 using light blue concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We can then extend that 21st block down to the ground, but we also want to extend forwards by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can extend this block down to the ground as well. We then want to extend inwards by 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and extend this block down to the ground. We want to take that 5th block and extend towards the front of the build, extend inwards by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and once again extend this block down to the ground as well. We then want to extend that 4th block to the right by 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And once again, we can of course extend this down to the ground. The more blocks that we extend down to the ground, I believe the better idea you have of how the actual building itself will look. Continuing on, we want to take the 9th block that we extended down to the ground here and continue extending it towards the front of the build by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then outwards by 2. 1, 2, and that should allow us to connect all the way back to where we very first started. Now, taking a look at this from a bird's eye view isn't necessarily the most helpful thing, but it should give you a good idea of whether we are on the right track or not, which we are because everything connected together. Next part, we want to come to this weird shape on the front of the build. It's kind of like this curved area. Well, we want to extend the corner of the curved area backwards by 2 rows, so 1, 2, like this. We then want to place a row of 5 yellow concrete on top of this block, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will become relevant later on, but we also want to, left of this, place a row of, we're going to start with a row of 10 light blue concrete. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're just going to extend this all the way over to the left. And we want to drop down. And we want to connect back to the bottom yellow block. So we're not going to fill this entire thing in because this has actually got a bunch of windows in. So on the right side, however, we can add 2 vertical rows of light blue concrete. And then we want to add a vertical row of black glass, followed by a vertical row of light blue concrete, black glass, We then want to have 3 rows of light blue concrete, so 1, 2, 3, and then add a vertical row of black glass. So this is the shape that we want to end up with. And now that we've done that, we want to add a row of white concrete on top of this, like so. And then we actually want to place a row of white concrete extending from this right side here. We want to extend it forwards, and we want to follow the shape that we have down below. So if we just follow it along, we don't have to do this for the whole thing, but it should eventually naturally sort of like come to an end right about here. We can extend this out as well, and this will kind of help guide us in the shape of the front of the build, which I'm thinking about adding now, because I think the more solid parts of this house that we have put together, the easier it will be to add other parts. So underneath this, for instance, we want to add the main entrance. So let's first of all add rows of yellow extending down from this left row of pretty straightish white concrete. So we want to add a bunch of rows of yellow extending all the way down. Eventually they will hit the ground like this, right? Well, we then want to add a row of light blue concrete extending down from where the white concrete extends off, but it is next to the yellow concrete. We can extend the light blue concrete across the top and a row across the bottom. Starting from the right side here, we want to add a vertical row of light blue concrete. There will be a door here, but above the door will be a glass block. Opposite the door, a row of light blue concrete. Then we should probably just add, we're going to add another horizontal row of light blue concrete just along the bottom here. Then we want to have a row of glass next to the door, 2 rows of light blue concrete, and then 3 rows of glass, so 1, 2, 3 like this. And then we will end up with something that should look like this. So relatively simple, really. So now that we've done that, let's focus just to the right a little bit, where we have this kind of like interesting part of the house. So I think the easiest way to do this is fill the sides in using yellow concrete. So just the flat bits on the left and the right, we are going to just fill in from the floor all the way up through both levels of this particular part of the house, because there is 2 floors associated with this particular part. So we'll extend all the way from the bottom up, and we'll also fill this little gap in here using yellow concrete as well, just extending to the right. So we want to end up with, see, there we go, that's a lot better, that's a lot easier to sort of like digest there. So the next thing that we want to do is on the upper level, we are just going to add a layer of yellow concrete just along the white concrete like this, right? Then we want to add yellow concrete where the bay window kind of like dips in on the left and right side. We just want to kind of like connect it from the bottom to the top. Then we want to add yellow concrete just underneath the top like this, and then fill the windows in using black glass. So we just want to completely fill it in like this. And this kind of helps us with what we have down below, because underneath we want to have pretty much the same configuration, except the window will sit directly underneath this row of white concrete. So right in the middle here, we want to have a 3x3 layer of glass, and then a row of 3 glass on the left and a row of 3 glass on the white extending down. Did I say on the white? On the right, extending down from the white concrete, I think is what I was trying to say. And we then just want to fill in between all of this using yellow concrete. So this will just form the bay window, and it will look really good. And hopefully this is starting to piece together a little bit better. So from this point, I think what we are going to do is come all the way up to this area here, and we want to start off by adding a row of white concrete directly behind the top of the light blue concrete area here. We want to locate this block in particular. So this white concrete here, it's easier to kind of like, we can even count from the left actually. So from the left, we want to find the 5th block in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right next to this window. Well, we want to follow this 5th block up and then back on top of this white concrete that we've placed. And we want to place a row of 8 white concrete extending up from this one, if that all makes sense. Hopefully it does. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we are going to grab red concrete and extend it to the right by 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then this will ultimately extend down, right? So this will later on be covered up a little bit by the roof, and also by another part of the structure, but this is just important to have. Next, we want to extend the top corner of the shape backwards by 7 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we want to extend it across to the right by 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then we want to place an orange terracotta and extend that up by 3 as well. 1, 2, 3. Then we actually want to extend that terracotta in 1, up 1, forwards by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then down 1, forwards 1. Then we want to drop down by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Across to the left by 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we want to extend up. And we want to join back to where we first started. So like this. And just before we start getting like crazy ahead of ourselves, this is what we want to have so far. And now we want to turn this into a box. So we want to take the top block here, extend it across like this. It won't necessarily look like this later on, but I think it's just better if we deal in solid shapes. We can fill parts in as we kind of get to appropriate parts in the tutorial. But if we do just kind of like work with solid shapes just for now, there is a little bit more nuanced than this, but I think it just helps with the building because we are putting a load of crazy parts of this house together. I mean, look at this already. We are quickly devolving into madness here with this house. We're now going to work on the roof area that sits above the yellow bay window part of the house. This will allow us to join all of this together. So, start off by placing smooth quartz block left and right of this row of 5 white concrete that we have at the top of the window. We then want to place an entire layer of smooth quartz block in front of all of this and wrap it around to the sides on the right and left side, just like this. Then we want to add a row of yellow concrete right in the middle of this. So it's going to be a row of 3 yellow concrete. It actually coincides with the yellow concrete that sits above the window part just below us. Extend the left and right side up by 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Join it together at the top and then place some glass in the middle. So what we can now do is place smooth quartz stairs. Extending up from this left side, we'll place a smooth quartz stairs on the side of this smooth quartz, and then we will start extending stairs upwards and inwards with upside down stairs underneath the stairs that are slowly climbing towards the top. And the goal of this is for us to eventually reach this point right here. So we have a set of stairs extending upwards as stairs tend to do, and eventually right in the middle we'll have a smooth quartz block with a slab on top, and this slab will theoretically extend back and it will hit some part of the house, probably this red concrete area here. And we want to do this on the opposite side as well, so let's start placing these stairs like this. And it's kind of a cool part of the house. I don't know why I'm particularly drawn to this window area here. I don't know why, it kind of just looks cool, especially when we add some light blue concrete behind these kind of like exposed areas here. So we add a little bit of depth and we add 2 kind of like nice contrasting colors like this. It's kind of an interesting roof design all by itself. We want to extend some smooth quartz stairs backwards, and these will hit the frame in some sort of way, by the way. So these will extend back, they'll hit the frame. It's also probably a good time to add, there's a row of white concrete that extends forwards above the upper light blue concrete area, and this white concrete extends up and around, or rather forwards and around this light blue concrete. So just kind of like show you this is kind of what we're working with, and you can see how this slowly starts pulling everything together now, so that's really cool. It would actually be easier for us if we filled in this white concrete area that we kind of like laid out. So this white concrete that joins up and across using the red concrete, this wants to be a solid flat wall, right? So we actually want to fill kind of like this face of this shape in using red concrete extending all the way over to the right. This will more easily allow us to make the little mini roof that we are working on now. There's not a massive amount of roof section on this house, quite luckily. Not my particularly favourite part of most of these tutorials, the roof section, so I'm quite thankful for that. And there we go, can you see how this is going to connect together? So all we now have to do really is extend the smooth quartz stairs backwards by placing dark oak stairs like this, extending all the way up to the top. We don't need any other dark oak blocks for now, as we are just covered with these stairs at the moment. Not to say that we won't need them later. So this left part, in particular, by the way, we can take this last set of stairs, wrap it around this white concrete and red concrete area, and later on we will be extending this backwards. We might even be able to do it now, actually. So this whole white concrete area here, we want to place a row of 4 red concrete extending back, so kind of in step with like this. So like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, right? Then we want to extend across to the left using good old orange concrete, and we want to have a row of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this, right? And then we're actually going to extend back by 3 rows, so like 1, 2, 3. And we want to turn this into like a little orange concrete cube. And this will slot in to kind of like the surroundings. So if we just kind of like fill it in its entirety on the left, front, and we'll just do the back side as well, although it's not as important on the back. We'll just fill it in on the back though, just a little bit. So this is kind of like what we're working with at the moment. That doesn't look too bad at all, and I'm thinking, so actually the stairs here won't wrap around. We will have them extend over, right, and then backwards, hit the orange, and then I guess we do need different dark oak plank blocks, and then we'll just fill this in using the dark oak planks. So that'll look pretty good. And just to make sure that we are kind of like working on this correctly, this row of light blue concrete here, we want to extend it backwards by 8 additional rows. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. It actually lines up perfectly with this orange concrete. So we then want to extend the white concrete that we have back as well. It will just sit underneath this orange, and let's just extend all of the left side of this backwards as well. So this will actually kind of like form a wall, and we will work on the side and this little area a little bit more later, but I just think it's important to really put these parts together whilst we can. And something that I would like to do as well is just fill underneath in, so like wherever we have little gaps here, like with this orange terracotta, if we just fill the bottom of this in, because otherwise I am liable to forget to fill this in later. So if we just get these gaps done, that looks really good. And let's just take a look now. Yeah, that's looking really good, and you can see how this is all tied together now. So it's probably a good idea for us actually to add the necessary details to this particular part of the build. So this is really, really simple. If we come to the top here and we start extending a row of 2 orange terracotta, 1, 2 across from this corner, then place a black glass, orange terracotta, black glass, drop the glass down by 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like this, and then we can just fill the entire rest of the front of this shape in using the orange terracotta. So this is relatively simple. Later on we will be adding a roof to this, but I don't want to add that until the entire shape of this is kind of like made. So we do want to place a row of dark oak stairs though across the top of this, and also on top of this as well. And lastly, if we grab it now, just because why not, we will be placing dark oak slabs like kind of like extending back, and we can even just place 1 row just across the top like this. Looks alright. There we go. Perfect. And we can even add a row of orange terracotta just on this opposite side to kind of like mirror the opposite side of the shape as well. But there is also, oddly enough, a window. I actually think it's a doorway. It's kind of hard to tell. This entire game is in darkness, by the way, particularly Alpha 3, so it's kind of hard to get what's what. So we want to have a 2x3, so 1, 2, and then 3 high, 2, 2, like this. This entire area wants to then be filled in using orange terracotta, so bar that little window right in the corner of this build here, we just want to then add the orange terracotta, and that is looking really good. I really like this. And if we just come around to this side, oh, we've got to fill this in as well. So on this side of the build, I've actually realized it would be easier. First of all, let's fill this side of the orange terracotta shape in using just orange terracotta. So just on this right side, we're going to completely just fill this in with orange terracotta, right? Perfect. But we can add a row of dark oak stairs just along the top of the front of the red concrete part. Then place a layer of dark oak slabs extending back just like this to have the flat roof part, and then a row of dark oak stairs on the back like this. That's perfect. We can drop the red concrete shape down a little bit just on the corner here. I would have to check how far down it actually has to go, but that's not really too important right now, as to kind of like connect this together, it is actually beneficial to work on the right side of the house a bit. Well, why don't we just start down at the bottom? So first of all, we're going to fill this area in here, just on the front, inside of this white concrete shape, using light blue concrete. So fairly straightforward, this. Then the right side of this is majoritively also light blue concrete, except there are some windows. So if you just add a row in at the bottom, and then starting from the right side, we want to have a row of 3 light blue concrete, so 1, 2, 3, just extending forwards. We're then going to place a black glass, light blue concrete, black glass, light blue concrete, black glass, and then all of this can be light blue concrete. The windows want to be 2 rows high in total, and then we are going to place light blue concrete in between them, and also above them, of course, just rising all the way up to the very top, just like so. On the back of the build, we want to place a 2x2 block area of cyan concrete. So if we just start, how do we do this? Let's knock out these 2 blocks of light blue concrete here, and directly next to the white concrete area, we want to place a row of 24 cyan concrete extending up from the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. To which we then want to extend it just to the right, just like so. And then out of the back of itself. So if we come all the way down, I probably should have just dropped as well. We're going to extend both of these rows simultaneously so that I don't have to drop again. So we just want to extend these all the way up, and we will have a 2x2 square of cyan concrete just extending up out of the back of the build, which is perfect. And we'll work on the rest of this later because this is a whole thing, trust me. So now that we have done that, we now want to come towards this upper white concrete area here. So I actually want to start at the bottom. So this is the first block here that kind of like extends up, right? Well, we want to place a yellow concrete, followed by a black stained glass, followed by 2 yellow concrete, so 1, 2. Then a row of 3 cyan concrete, 1, 2, 3. We're going to extend the cyan concrete outwards and inwards to give us a 3x3 platform. Then we are going to add 8 rows on top of this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we're just going to fill all of this in, just extending up. And you can see why it's actually easier to add this before we start adding the roof and connecting all of this together, because it is kind of like a whole jumbled mess unless we do it in kind of like a logical order. So there we go, and we can just fill the top, and although that's going to be very unnecessary, as you'll find out later. Well, Continuing onwards, we take the middle of this shape just at the back here, and we want to place another row of 5 yellow concrete. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just extending out of the back. This wants to be as high as, so it kind of actually wants to be as high as the white concrete that we have on the front here. So we're going to extend this glass upwards, we're going to add yellow concrete in between, and then raise it all the way up to the top of the white concrete area. And we can actually knock the top of this shape off and place smooth quartz stairs extending just along the top like this, and we want to raise up the yellow concrete just on the right side just like this, and we want to extend the smooth quartz stairs through like so. We want to stick red concrete on the end, so from the yellow concrete all the way up to the top where we have the smooth quartz stairs. The red concrete wants to extend outwards by 2, so 1 and then 2, and then we want to extend 6 rows back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like this, and we want to extend the entire layer of red concrete as well, so all the way across the back. And this layer of red concrete actually goes on quite a journey. It does kind of like extend across a lot of the back of the build. It actually wants to extend all the way over and line up on top of, and line up on top of the light blue concrete area here, so it kind of just like intersects with the light blue concrete area. Then it wants to extend forwards and it will hit this wall of light blue concrete as well. And by the way, like this, you see, this is why things start getting messy, because it would also be benefit. So this will connect and join together to this light blue concrete area, which if we just extend across, you see this is just a lot cleaner. Add a row of white concrete on top, although that will probably change a little bit later on because we've got a couple more shapes back here to add. Well, what we could still do though is add the whole red concrete area, and that will then make it easier later to add everything else onto. So let's raise up these rows of red concrete just like this. We'll also have to extend just across the back here, and we'll just fill in underneath as well. And it might actually be a good idea as well just to extend just the top of this over at the back, and then fill the top of this in using red concrete as well. So for the next part of this, we are going to drop this red concrete down a little bit, just an additional row. It shouldn't make a difference, but just in case it does, we're going to drop this down, and we want to do the same with the orange terracotta here as well, like this. And then we want to extend it across and join it to wherever it will join. And then we're just going to fill the backs of both of these shapes in. The orange terracotta area will actually need a little bit more configuration, but we can add that a little bit later. I'm actually thinking it might be a good idea to add it now, actually, because there is another little part of the build that needs adding back here for everything to kind of like flow together nicely. But let's just start off with filling a nice flat wall in. So we just want to have something which should look exactly like this so far. So to start off with, we are going to grab our yellow concrete and place a row of 7 of it along this row of red concrete that extends from the front of the build. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We then want to extend up by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then left by 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're now going to join down to the ground like this, and then also forwards, so we're making quite a long rectangular shape. We want to completely fill the sides of this in using yellow concrete, by the way, so every single side that we have available, including the top, and maybe even the bottom, because that might actually make a difference later. We then want to add acacia fence all the way around the top of this, and after that we are going to add a door. This is right in the middle of the yellow concrete area, and we just want to add a 2x2 square of black glass. I mean, we can even make it a little bit higher actually. I think that that's actually more appropriate. There we go, that's perfect. And from here we are going to come around to the front of the build, and we can just start like filling in this kind of like entire area that we've kind of neglected now. We're going to start off by adding acacia planks to this area here. This is actually a terrace, so we want to be able to walk out onto this. Any area where we have added glass can also double as a doorway as well, so it's kind of up to you. It depends whether you want to lay out the interior in such a way that you would be able to access all of this. So we also want to place acacia fence all the way around the top of this, just sitting on top of the white concrete area. Then coming up to this next part, it's probably a good idea to fill in some of the right side of the red concrete area that we have just slightly above us before we start adding in any of the roof. And we also want to have a window here. It's actually right opposite where we have the row of cyan concrete, and it might actually be easier to add this after the fact, but I think that it goes just literally directly above the cyan concrete line, and it's just a 3x3 row window which we are just going to fill in using black glass like this, and then extend dark oak stairs backwards from the smooth quartz stairs, extending from here just all the way back. Some of these we'll have to get a little bit creative with as we hit the back part, but we'll sort that out in a second. We'll just focus on the upper part just like this. There we go, that's looking pretty good. So if we just come around to the back, add this row in here just against the cyan concrete. So we'll just wrap this around, and this will just join to the yellow concrete area here, and then we'll add another row just below it just to fill this in, and then this will just join there, and then we can either fill this in with red concrete, this might make sense, or you could even add a couple of rows of dark oak slabs. I mean, you never really get to see this, so you can use your imagination a little bit if you like. Continuing to build up the house, we want to place a row of red terracotta extending out of the back of this orange concrete area. So start from the bottom right hand corner, move in one, and then place a row of 7 red terracotta extending out from this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We then want to extend up by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then across to the right by 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then forwards by 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we can kind of just extend this shape all the way inwards to join to the house. We can extend back like this, we can join the corners down and across, and the idea is that we can now take the shape that we've made and we can turn it into a nice solid empty shape like this, and that will allow us to make the next part, as there are 2 other large parts of the structure that kind of hinge on this particular part of the build. So once this has all just kind of like connected together like this, and it's kind of just like hanging off of the back of the build, as most parts of the house do, place a yellow concrete in front of this red terracotta, and then extend the yellow concrete outwards by 3, 1, 2, 3, and then down by 2, 1, 2, and then forwards by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up by 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then to the right by 2, 1, 2, down by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right by 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We then want to extend down by 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then join to this orange terracotta structure. And we do want to still continue extending down, by the way. We want to drop down by 2, so 1, 2, and then we should just be able to extend all the way left and kind of connect back on ourselves like this. And we can kind of like fill the entire left side of this area in using yellow concrete as well. So if you just start from the bottom and extend all the way up to kind of like this abstract shape that we've kind of got like working for us here, and then if we just fill the bottom of this in just like so, and then across the back like this, and you guys get the idea. So, we want to, from this little lip here, we want to extend this backwards, and we want to extend and fill this side in. This is actually an interesting part of the build. We want to have a fence here and here, kind of like just leaving this, it's almost like a balcony, this area. So fence on the front and the back of this, and then we want to fill, we want to have a little window here as well. So just a 2 by 2, or rather 3 by 2 block area of black glass block. So we then can continue filling in the back of this and just following the shape along that we have just on the front of the build like so. And it doesn't really matter that we're filling these sides in and the top in, but just to kind of like give us a solid shape. So that is the back, the left, and I don't think it actually, I think some of it is exposed underneath, so it's probably just safer to add some yellow concrete just underneath the bottom as well. So yeah, there we go. So that part would actually, like, we'd be able to see into this, so it's better that we just fill this in. And from here we have to add some windows. So if we just start left of this row of yellow concrete here, we want to add some glass to the left, yellow concrete, glass, and then we want to start on the opposite side and add glass, yellow concrete, glass, and then we can just continue to fill the rest of the front of this shape in using yellow concrete. So all of this can just be filled in here, here, just like this. That is looking pretty good. So next up, we actually have a long rectangular light blue concrete shape to add to the top of this. We want to start off by placing a light blue concrete here in this position and extend it up by 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Extend the top of this across by 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we want to just mark this out by placing some glass just underneath it. This is just a placeholder. Continue extending to the right by 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We then want to extend back by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to extend all the way across the back. And then I want to connect to the front just like this. And we also have to turn this into a box, so we just want to extend the bottom of this block here just across the front, and then that's actually a lot further than I thought it was. Here we go, so across the front here and up, and then across the side and up, and I'm sure that you guys can guess the rest. So we'll extend it, we'll turn it into a big box. We're actually going to fill pretty much the entire thing in. Oh, I've actually done that slightly wrong, but it doesn't matter because we do have to fill the bottom of this in anyway. So we'll extend this across, join down here, and then we'll fill the sides of this in using light blue. So something else that we can add as well. We will eventually have kind of like a train track extending out from here, so we can place a couple of acacia signs, a couple of acacia fence, and place signs across these, and maybe like one on this opposite side here, destroy the glass, and we will also place some black concrete behind this later on. And eventually we will have a train track, and there's a few of these around the build, so that's why we're not adding it now, extending out here, and it will connect somewhere around the back. But what we can work on now is adding dark oak stairs all the way around the top of this, and then filling in the top of the shape using dark oak planks. Or dark oak slabs, as we already have them in the inventory. It's essentially the same thing. Also, on top of this particular part of the house as well, there is a chimney. So if you come to the front right-hand corner of it and find not this plank here, but maybe this one, and then move left, place 2 stone brick wall extending up, right, and then up 2, and then stick a hopper on top. There we go. That's perfect. Nice little chimney. Whilst we are up on this point of the build, we may as well also fill in the top of the orange terracotta area as well. So this is just a mix of dark oak slabs just across the top, and then some dark oak stairs just along the back. And we can also add a little roof just off to the side where we have the yellow concrete area. So this is where it kind of like joins to the light blue concrete area. So just dark oak stairs on the sides, slabs across the top. You could even drop it down an additional row. I think that might actually look a little bit better. If we just drop this down an additional row and then did the exact same thing, we'd get a little bit more contrast. We will also turn that to blue as well. But yeah, just do the exact same thing as before, just one row lower. And from here, we are just going to fill the entire red terracotta area that we have in. So this is just like a huge overhanging giant cube just off the back of the house. So this is all just getting filled in with red terracotta. We will also have like a train track area leading from this a little bit later on, but we can always make the holes for that later. So with all of the upper part kind of sort of complete, it's definitely getting there. We want to drop down to the entrance area. So kind of like coming back to what a weird journey we've been on that we're only now getting around to the entrance. Well, first of all, we are going to place a row of white concrete extending from the upper left-hand corner of this entrance area, and it's going to kind of like follow the same shape as the light blue concrete below it. And we are just going to fill in this wall using light blue concrete. There's actually a window here as well, by the way, so let's just add a couple of rows of light blue, and then just right here, kind of like in a 2x3 fashion, we just want to have a window. And then fill the side of this in using light blue concrete as well, just like this. We want to fill the top of this in using white concrete, so just like so, on the side and around the front. Add a row of smooth quartz slabs just along the top of the front of the entrance area, which then allows us to place acacia fence on it, extend across the back, and then join it back to the side of the build, like so. And then we still haven't worked on this area. We actually have a bunch of empty walls, which there's only one that really has any detail other than a couple of windows here and there. So just here is actually a back door to the house. So if we just fill this in using light blue concrete, and we'll also have to add some red concrete here as well, there is a back door, and if we just place some smooth quartz stairs starting from the end here, if we leave a gap of 1, 2, 3, then place a sideways quartz stairs, then one next to it, and then another sideways one. Dig two blocks and then stick a door here. We then want to have a window, so just a window just left of this door, leave a gap of 2, and then place a 2x2 square. Then we want to fill these walls in here just using light blue concrete, but before I forget, and I definitely will forget, we want to fill the top part of this in using red concrete. So just like this, that's perfect. And then we just want to fill this little alcove in here using light blue, and then this side as well. But on the back there are some windows all the way over here on this left side. So on the left side of the build, we just want to first of all just place a row of light blue concrete extending down like this. We then want to extend across the bottom and place 1, 2, 3 light blue concretes, with then glass on the last 2 blocks, extend up by 2 rows. Place 2 rows of light blue concrete right of the glass, and then 2 more rows of glass extending right, and then we're just going to fill the remaining part of this wall in using light blue concrete, and that's all there is to it. Coming back to the front of the build momentarily, we want to add an entrance. So we already have this hole here which we have to place an oak door in front of, but then we want to add 2 rows of acacia planks almost in front of the entire light blue concrete area. We want to have 2 rows of them, but leaving this last row off here. Then place acacia stairs all the way around the edge of this, leaving the space in front of the oak door alone, and then left and right of it. And then we want to have upside down stairs just extending across, so leaving these middle 3 blocks alone. Place smooth quartz slabs in between them, and then birch fence all the way around the edge of this porch area. And that is looking perfect. Then we have to add kind of like it's ladders, like right in between these 2 windows here, just on the next level, a set of ladders just extending up, and then iron bars along the side of the ladders, and then the bars want to extend around and like kind of like form a cage, and this will take you to the upper part of the house. I'm extending these too far, so these will take you to the upper part of the house, just all the way up. Add the ladders like this, they'll take you onto these stairs, and then you can even extend the iron bars like up a row or 2, just like so. I think that'll leave mine there. That's looking pretty good. Next, we are going to work on one of the crazier parts of the house. So, for whatever reason, Mr. Peterson has decided to install a giant wind turbine on his house. I guess he's going green. So, this is located on the right side of the house, directly in the middle of this 3x3 square of cyan concrete. Place a row of grey concrete that extends all the way up, and it roughly wants to equal the height of the hopper that we have just to the left. Then we want to extend the grey concrete in every single direction, so just front, back, left and right. So we are trying to make this look a little bit cylindrical, and this is about as well as we can do without making this shape bigger. So now that we have our cylindrical shape, we want to stack a layer of cyan terracotta directly on top of this, just like so. We then want to add 4 more rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, so this is just directly on top of this cyan terracotta platform. We will form a rectangular shape. We then want to grab the grey concrete, come up to the top, front, middle of the shape, drop 1 block down, place a grey concrete, extend forwards 1, then take the original grey concrete and place a row of 8 light grey concrete on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we also want to have a row of 8 extending right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And underneath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And out of the left side also, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we want to place a stone brick wall in front of the light grey concrete. So, in front of every single one of the rows, we want to have the exact same thing. Then grab the iron bars, and if you just place a random block in each one of the 4 corners of the light grey concrete area, and then place iron bars surrounding that, so for example I've used cyan concrete here, and then destroy the cyan concrete, you will give yourself the effect that we are looking for. Then we want to grab cyan concrete, and behind the base of the cyan concrete that we have, or rather the cyan terracotta that we have on the back of this turbine, we want to add a row of cyan concrete, extend it up by 2 rows like this, then extend it outwards 2 rows as well, so on the right and the left side will give us this shape. Then we're going to grab the light blue concrete, and underneath this side of the turbine, underneath this cyan concrete here, we want to place 3 light blue concrete extending down, 1, 2, 3, and then extend right 1, and then down by 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1, down by 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1, and then down by 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we actually want to extend backwards a few blocks. It doesn't matter too much how many we actually do. But come over onto the opposite side, and starting from the equivalent block on the opposite side of the turbine, we want to place 3 light blue concrete extending down, 1, 2, 3, and then left 1, down by 3, 1, 2, 3, then left 1, down by 3, 1, 2, 3, left 1, down by 3, 1, 2, 3, then left 1, and then we just want to pretty much just extend all the way down. So this will go all the way down, it'll join into this roof, and we just want to knock out one of the blocks. And the end result, if we take a little look, it looks a little bit weird now because that row isn't going anywhere, will look like this. Moving on to yet another crazy part of the house, there is a room that is suspended upon this giant cyan concrete pole that is covered by a giant white sheet. Yeah, you heard all of that right. And it also has a train leading in and out of it. It also has a shipping container hanging off of it, off of a makeshift crane. I'll let you process all of that. So, to start with this, we want to place a row of 5 acacia planks extending forwards from the top of these cyan terracottas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And both of these rows just want to extend outwards. So we then want to extend the acacia planks right by 8 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and left by 4 rows, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can just fill these corners in to form the platform. Then add a layer of white concrete around the sides and the front of the acacia planks. We want to extend this row of white concrete out of the back, wrap around the cyan concrete, and join to the opposite side in a rectangular fashion. Fill this gap in using black concrete. So this is just above the acacia plank line. We want to fill this empty space in with black concrete to make it all ominous and such. We then want to take the 4 corners of this platform, and we want to extend the corner blocks down by 2 using white concrete, 1, 2, and then flare them inwards. on each side. So 1, 2, and then inwards each side. You guys get the idea. So now that we've done that, we want to raise the 4 corners of the white concrete up by 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm just going to extend across and then join all the way down, because it's just a little bit more economical. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are going to fill in each one of the sides of the white concrete area. We don't have to make any holes for the train just yet, we'll sort that out when we actually make the tracks. With that complete, we have to make the makeshift crane that has the shipping container hanging off of it. So to make this, we simply want to place a light blue concrete in the middle of the right side of the container, so just underneath the acacia platform. It's quite easy to see where the middle block is. Well, we want to extend the light blue concrete to the white concrete edge and then add 6 more blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this. We then want to add 10 chains underneath the light blue concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we want to add chains underneath the bottom front right hand corner of the white concrete area. And this wants to line up with the chains that we have just placed over there on the right. So like this. So what we then want to do is place cyan concrete underneath each chain, like this, and we want to extend the cyan concretes together at kind of like a right angle like this, and then we are going to connect them together like so, and it will just form a little box. I'm even considering making this a little bit longer, or at the very least making the container a little bit longer, so adding a couple more rows of cyan concrete, just like this, and then we are going to fill the top in using cyan concrete. We want to add 2 rows of yellow concrete underneath the outside of the rectangular shape, like this, and then another row of cyan concrete underneath that. So we do want to kind of like maintain this nice rectangular shape, and of course this wants to extend around the entire edge of the container itself. With that complete, we can now move on to the next task, which is installing the railway. What house is complete without one? Come all the way over to the front left-hand side of the house and locate this red terracotta area. Come all the way down to the bottom left-hand corner and count right 1, 2. Destroy this block, the 2 above it, replace this empty space using black concrete behind the 2 empty blocks, but Below the 2 black concrete, extending outwards, place a row of 11 grey concrete, light grey concrete specifically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Extend right, forwards, right 2, up 1, 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 and now right by 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We then want to extend in, and then right. We then want to extend backwards through this roof by 11, but first, honestly, we should probably just take this part of the roof out. So extending backwards from this block 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We then want to extend in, out, into, and then down, right 2, down, right 2, down, right, and then destroy this little fence here. And then all we're going to do is just place a bunch of rails on top of our light grey concrete, and this will kind of complete this effect. And this will be the first of 3 sets of rails that we have to make. So there we go, that's perfect. I think that looks pretty good. So the next one that we want to make stems from this area up at the top of the house. So first of all, we actually have to place some black concrete behind this empty space here, where we have the actual hole already made for us with the acacia signs and fence. Extending from this light blue concrete here, I think that we'll replace this with a light grey, and then extend this outwards by 3. 1, 2, 3. Then right 1, forwards 2, right 1, forwards 2, right by 22, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We then want to extend in 1, and then right 1, and then in 2, right 1, and then this should just brush past the light blue concrete that we placed earlier. It will extend all the way to the white sheet, which we want to destroy through. So we're actually going to destroy through the sheet and place light grey concrete extending all the way back like this, right, and then straight through like this. And then this will mark out what we want to make later. So I'm going to place some black concrete here and here to give the appearance that we have a little doorway. Makes it a bit more ominous. I really like that. And then we're going to place some rails along the light grey concrete. So once we have made this set of rails, we just have to make one more, which is going to extend out of the back and connect. Funnily enough, so we should have done this as we did it over there. So we want to make in the same place, if we take a look, we want to make in the same place, we want to extend these rails here. So, you know, I mean, you can just make it easy if you want to follow the line. These rails all the way to here. We'll destroy this block, replace it with a light grey concrete, but we still want to have the black concrete. I just wanted to show you that it literally, like, it extends through, so it all, like, lines up and joins up in a nice logical way. So we want to basically connect that door to that door. So the easiest way to do this, I think, is to make it a little bit from the top and then a little bit from the bottom. So the way that we do it, all the way up at the top here, we want to start off by placing a row of 5 light grey concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, extending out. And then right 1, extend towards you. And then right by 3, so 1, 2, 3. And then we will extend down, right 2, down, right 2. And we'll keep repeating that a bunch of times. But if we come all the way down to the bottom and we start by placing a row of 8 extending outwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then extend left 1, forwards, left 2, up, left 2, so on and so forth, until we eventually connect to the opposite end here. So if we just keep extending up and left 2, we should, there we go, connect rather naturally to where we were just building. It saves counting out a bunch of those like extend down and 2 blocks. So we can then place our rails along this, which will fit nice and perfectly. And that will pretty much be the end of the rail parts. The only thing that we might want to do now is add a bit of structure to all of this. And when I say structure, I mean structural integrity. So on the back of the house, I am going to add acacia fence. Acacia fence extending down from this point of the rails, so like this, extending all the way down to the ground so that everything isn't just kind of like floating in the air. Although it really wouldn't be the weirdest thing about this house if it was just kind of like floating like crazy. I guess that the grid should have been one row backwards, or this has become one row back in relation to it. It doesn't matter though. We also want to add another row of acacia fence, this time all the way up towards the top, so extending down from this block. It actually doesn't matter which block you pick specifically, but if it looks nice and balanced, that is a little bit better. So we'll extend this all the way down as well, and again it will just make it seem as though that like this isn't just floating in the air. You could even pick like a middle part of the rails as well to extend down, but I'm quite happy with just the ends being extended. I also want to extend this corner of the red terracotta down to the ground as well, because it's kind of like I don't know, it just seems like a good part to actually like extend down and join to the ground using the acacia fence like this. And then we want to come all the way to the corner of the first set of rails that we made, and we will take this block here and extend it down to the ground as well. Next, we want to come all the way over to this part of the house where we have the pretty cool looking roof. Come all the way up to the edge of the roof where we have this smooth quartz slab. Count backwards 1, 2, destroy this block. Then replace underneath this with a dark oak plank or an upside down stairs, something like that. And then place a set of acacia fence extending all the way up. And this should join and connect to the upper part of the rails, and it kind of like secures itself to the previous part of the rails, so it kind of works in both ways. And last but not least, we are going to add just one more acacia fence. I'm thinking where we kind of want to add it, that will join down there. So I'm thinking from this corner here, just down, and that will be enough structural support. So that will actually kind of conclude the house portion of this tutorial. So if we just extend it all the way down, lines up with this right here. Perfect. Next up, we are going to work on the actual garden area. So extending from the 3 smooth quartz slabs that we have at the entrance, we want to place a row of 7 grass paths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or dirt path as it may be. Just like this. We then, extending from the 4th row of paths, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we want to place a birch fence either side, and this fence will extend all the way to the outer boundaries. So where we have placed the grid, we will just have a fence that extends all the way left and right, just like this. And the first 2 rows of the grid, I'm going to regret getting rid of that item specifically. The first 2 rows of the grid are made out of smooth stone, so if we just add those So now that we have added a couple of rows of path, we have a car that's kind of like crashed through this fence. So if we start from the right side of the left fence here, we want to find the 4th fence in, so that will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Destroy this block and the 2 left of it. Place red concrete there instead, and place a black concrete extending back from each of the end red concretes. Red concrete in between. Add a couple of rows of red concrete. Place another layer of black concrete on each end, red concrete in between, extend another row out the back, stone buttons on the sides of the black concrete, and then white concrete on top of the back pair of black concretes. Add a couple of rows of red carpet on the front of the shell of the car and along the back as well. Then grab glass pane and place it in between the back pair of white concretes, and then extend forwards 2 from each white concrete joined together in the middle. Place a red carpet in the center of this, and then white carpet on top to form the roof of the car, like this. Then we want to grab the glow item. Oh, we'll need glow item frames that we don't already have, and the ladder. Glow item frames in front of the front 2 corners of the car with ladders in between, and then glow item frames off of the back with red concrete in the glow item frames, and that is the car. And on the right side here, we want to make a mailbox. So this is right in the middle of this grass block area here, so we want to leave a gap of 1 from the path, end rod, white concrete on top, oak trap door flipped up in front of it. Then leave a sizable gap, maybe about 5 or so blocks, and place a light grey shulker box against this fence here. Leave a gap of 1, place a cauldron, leave a gap of 1 extending forwards, place a brown shulker box. And now that we have done that, ladies and gentlemen, we have to make the actual fence around the house and add some of the other stuff as well. So the fence is really simple. If we start over here on the left side and place birch fence extending backwards from where we have already designated to be the outer boundary, we kind of want to line up with that part of the house there, right? Then behind this, we want a 3-row high, or at the very least a 2-row high, white concrete wall that extends all the way around the outer boundary of the house. But before I place all of this, I want to come all the way over to the opposite side and extend the birch fence backwards, and we kind of want to line it up with, relatively speaking, the similar sort of position that we have on the left side. So probably about here, where the wind turbine sort of starts, maybe like midway up, and then we want to have the same 2-row high white concrete fence that extends all the way around. And now that we've done that, there is a bunch of boxes in this man's back garden. So we're just going to add just a bunch of randomly built up brown shulker boxes. As I may have mentioned earlier in the tutorial, Alpha 3 is actually set at night, and despite how hard I tried, there's not really a way around that, or at least not one that I could find to do easily myself. So when you're actually kind of exploring around the house, you will find just a bunch of boxes that you can flatten at the back, and I mean, if there is something else, you can't see it, so. Now, there is only one thing left to do, and your method of doing this completely depends on what you are going to be doing. Let me explain. So, I am going to replace all of my grass using lime terracotta, although I'm going to cheat and use World Edit. But if you are not going to actually replace all of the area with lime terracotta, then I'm going to suggest that you bone meal some of the grass in just kind of like random patches. Like, it doesn't want to be too dense, it just kind of wants to look a little unkempt and a little bit disheveled. So if you're happy with just having good old grass instead of lime terracotta, just patch in a little bit of bone meal around the house and call it a day. However, if you want to replace the grass using lime terracotta like me, I would recommend ripping up all of the grass first of all, replacing it with lime terracotta, then you will have to patch in grass yourself in random places and then bone meal it after. So it does kind of depend on what you want to do. But once that has been complete, ladies and gentlemen, you will have 100% fully completed your Mr. Peterson Hello Neighbour Alpha 3 house tutorial build. Did I get enough tags in that outro? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Please do remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.